March 22, 1933, FDR reportedly said to his advisors, quote, "I think this would be a good time for a beer," end quote. However, this wasn't simply an idle exchange between men. Rather, it was a comment on the Cullen-Harrison Act, a piece of legislation FDR had just signed which permitted the sale of beer and wines under 3% alcohol by weight after 13 years of prohibition in America. What FDR didn't realize was that this decision would forever affect the way Americans drank. More than simply outlawing alcohol, Prohibition inadvertently affected drinking in California and the rest of America through the emergence of women in speakeasies of the 1920s and through the lobbying and craftiness of California grape growers. Entering the 20th century, the drinking problem in America was growing to excess, and organizations like the WCTU had organized to attempt to pass prohibition legislation. While they were successful in 33 states, California managed to use the pull of the wine and grape industry to keep prohibition legislation from passing until national prohibition was passed in 1920. To combat the WCTU, several grape growers came together to form the California Grape Protective Agency. This organization argued that the wine industry was a major economic driver in California, and that they could not simply sell table grapes and raisins because the lower quality fruits were often used to make wines and brandies in order to avoid wasting crop. In late 1919, with the passage of the Volstead Act, and later in 1920 with the 18th Amendment, national prohibition was put into effect. People scrambled to get their last bit of booze, and California winemakers scrambled to find a way to stay afloat in a dry America. Their solution was to sell wine bricks, essentially bricks of dried grapes and yeast pressed into a block that, when dissolved in water, created a liquid that could be fermented into wine. The vineyards were able to avoid violating the Volstead Act by adding warning labels to the bricks to the effect of, "Warning, after dissolving in a gallon of water, do not store in a cupboard for 20 days or it will turn into wine." Liquor found its way to stay afloat in bootlegging and speakeasies. Unlike the saloons of the 19th century, speakeasies allowed women to drink alongside men. This was brought about by the rising popularity of going out on the town and going to dance halls, cabarets, and formal dining rooms where drinks were brought to seated customers rather than doled out at a bar. This type of service provided an opportunity for women to be served alcohol where they would have had to fight their way up to the all-male bar of a saloon. With women entering the drinking scene, bartenders were now attempting to create a new cocktail more focused on taste and presentation that would keep customers coming back. Because of this, we see an emergence of drinks mixed with colorful and flavorful syrups and liquors like grenadine, green chartreuse, and creme de menthe. Bartenders also found that shaking a cocktail with egg white would create a foam across the top of the drink and add to its aesthetics. Because women were accustomed to drinking wine, and because of its availability thanks to wine bricks, wine-based cocktails also grew in popularity. After the passage of the Cullen-Harrison Act, which marked the end of Prohibition in America, beer once again became America's favorite drink, and cocktail culture seemed to die off. However, the cocktail culture of Prohibition would later resurge in the 50s and 60s, and the recipes produced during Prohibition would have a lasting legacy in the cocktail industry. Even today, millennials are enamored with cocktail culture because it offers a customization and individuality that beer and wine cannot.